Dear friends, once again, welcome. Today we are going to hold our second worldwide session. I would like to remind a few things. The first one is the full video recordings of the previous meeting is in YouTube. We already sent the link of it, so you can reach it from there. Secondly, as we decided during our last meeting, we will have meetings on 14th, 21st and 28th of April. So we will have, including this one, we will have 3 more. And also in case would you have a problem here within this session, because this is a Zoom meeting, then we have to close it and we have to move to a webinar. I mean, in case there is a Zoom bomber who will penetrate to our session. I mean, it is just in case. We put a parallel webinar ready for us too. And the third one, important issue is we are always mentioning the times as GMT, but please consider that British Summer Time is GMT +1 at the moment. So GMT is totally independent from London time. And the fourth one is, you know, we are recording all the sessions and we are going to share with all friends. Fifth one is, where is the fifth one? Ah, okay. Fifth one is, we already organized the email group. At the moment, there are 124 members. Most probably, you all received the invitations. If you act to these invitations, then you will be a part of the email group. And the sixth one is, we received written contributions and proposals, I think in the order of 24, maybe even more. And we send them by email. We will go over them one by one, and maybe the owners of these proposals will contribute during the session. And the seventh issue is regarding the collection of these proposals and contributions. It was very difficult to study more than 200 mails. So we started a new Google survey. It's very easy. Maybe I can show it very quickly. Where was it? One second, please. Okay, this is the Google survey page. For the future meetings, if you do have any contribution or proposals as a written one, I mean written proposals and written contributions, you can put your name, if you like your country, if you like your affiliation, but name and the proposal is required. The other two is additional information. And what else do we have? Okay. Oh, okay. For these 24 proposals, we give a number to each proposal. So they start from 1 and it goes on like this. So in case, if we organize some working groups to collaborate, then maybe we can call working group 1, working group 2, working group 3, something like this, so that it will be easy for us to follow the things. And before starting our session, I would like to share something else with you too. We have Annie here also, but please let me share this photo. Okay, I hope you all see this photo. Now I will unmute you all. The left side, after left is guy standing, at the middle Philippe Vampari, and next to him Alexander Darot. We just received this photo. It is from 1991. If you kindly join, and now all of your, I mean, all microphones are open. I would like to invite you to a continuous applause to them. It's about 30 years. Also to Annie Miller, she's also with us. Thanks for them. Very nice photo from Italy, I guess. Okay, so these were the issues I would like to share at the beginning. there are two issues I would like to mention again. At the beginning, we will, pardon, I have to mute you all to avoid additional noises. Okay. We will start with Alexander, because he has to leave because of other engagements. And then we will continue with the dear guy. He was with us. I cannot see at the moment. We are about 50 people, more than one screen. And then we would like to hear Barb and Annie, and then we will continue with the numbered proposals. Is Carl here? I can't see him. If he is here, we can add him to the first contributors also. Alexander, we know that you have an engagement, so we would like to hear your contributions at the very beginning. We included your proposal to the list. We will discuss it also in the coming minutes. Wow. So word is yours, Alexander.
First of all, congratulations to Hilde, because she wants to invite the spiritual leaders of the world to say something positive about basic income, and the Pope already said something positive, so that was a very good start of the week. I'm happy to see that Stacey Rutledge from the USA is in the participants as well, because she was one of the main actor organizing the first Global March for Basic Income last year, and it would be good to connect her and to give her the floor as well, if she sees also possibilities to make the second march the 19th of September this year. Of course, it all depends how soon the lockdowns will be gone. Nobody knows for sure, but the 19th of September is still several months away, so it should be possible. And that's the way to show the world that we're united, that basic income is active as a movement in 100 cities, maybe 25 countries or even more. That would be my challenge to everybody, and organize it if the conditions allow it, of course. That is my main proposal. Thank you.
Thank you, Alexander. I guess some other contributions, especially I know from Gerder and other friends, will make contributions regarding your idea. But it is number 3 in the list. So thank you for your contributions. I know that you are going to leave the session. Good evening. I had seen Guy. Yes, Guy is here. Okay. Dear Guy, very nice to see you in our session. And we are looking forward to hear your words about what's ongoing and what we should do. I mean, word is yours.
Okay, well, thank you and welcome to everybody. And I was embarrassed by that photo, but thank you for showing it. I think this is a great moment. I really believe that we are very close. We are very close to realizing what only a few months ago was a dream still. Every single day for the past few weeks, I've received media interest. I was just jotting down while I was waiting to respond to Ali's points. I've had media interest today from Turkey, Iran, Israel, Spain, Denmark, England, United States, and been interacting with our Kenya network. And that's just today. Every day it's different countries, and we're getting this opportunity to win. And I agree with what Alexander has just said. I think if we can sustain the momentum, then we will win this time. I really feel we're that close. And we're getting support from across the political spectrum. And it's extremely interesting. I don't know what my Turkish interview was like, Ali. You have to tell me, was it okay? Because I don't speak or write Turkish, but there was a newspaper yesterday in Turkey. Now, I think what we have to do now is sustain the energy with output, influencing the media, getting to the politicians, and having Zoom conference of some sort. And I want to end my opening remarks by telling you a wonderful little story, which is that I went to Kenya in February, and I was invited by Israel Kodiaga to be a guest speaker at the inaugural event of the Kenya Basic Income Network. Hundreds came to that meeting, and Israel told me yesterday, and I believe him because I've been there and seen the enthusiasm in the streets, that we now have 86,000 members of the Kenya Basic Income Network. You and I would not believe it unless you had had the experience that I had being in Kenya and seeing in the streets people rushing up, wearing t-shirts and really expressing enthusiasm. And they have a wonderful saying, UBI, forward together. And it really is wonderful. They've got pop songs made, and the enthusiasm makes you think that if that can happen in Kenya, it can happen anywhere. And I believe we've got the momentum. So it's great to be talking to you. It's great to know that you are forming this new initiative, because this is something that has been needed. And I salute Ali and all of you for doing it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Guy. Just a few words regarding your interview at Turkish media. It was very interesting, and we shared a lot. Yeah, it was very, very good. Then we can continue with dear Barb. Okay, Barb, word is yours, Barb.
Yeah, I'm here. And okay. What to report from here? We've got a really good cross-party group of MPs, which keeps growing, who are interested. Obviously, we seem to have, because the government couldn't get itself together about a bunch of different things, we won't get the emergency basic income we were demanding. But these MPs are talking about a recovery basic income and one that will be permanent, which I think is very good news. And hopefully that will be out by the end of this week. We'll be spreading that around. The other extremely good news from here is that the UK network is, I would say, of active people, it's about 80 people around the country, which is a big step forward for us. In a way, having to do things on Zoom and WhatsApp, which is a bit chaotic, but hey ho. We've actually talked to each other much more than we kind of knew that we were all out there, but the conditions of the lockdown have actually forced us to speak to each other more and more in depth, which I think is a really good result, and is one of the reasons why we've had so much political support as well. And plus, then we've also had, there are about 1.5 people in Sheffield who are doing this on a paid basis, at least 2 or 3 days a week. And then, of course, we have Michael Pugh at the Basic Income Conversation, who's doing this full time, and plus Cleo Goodman in Scotland, who's doing it part time. Again, having people that really can dedicate themselves to this, I think, has been a huge boost for us, and we're very lucky that in this moment we have so much, so much dedicated support. So greetings to everybody, and I look forward to hearing what else is going on other places. Thanks.
Thank you, Barb. Thank you for your contributions. Annie, you are also in the meeting. Annie Miller.
Hello. Yep.
Oh, hello. Annie, we would like to hear you. Word is yours, please.
Hi, everybody. It's just lovely to see everybody. I'm very aware that this is very much an activist meeting, and I still feel that with my academic background, I still have a role to play. Now, some of you have already seen my little yellow book called Essentials of Basic Income, and I'm concentrating on updating it and bringing out a second version. Now, I'm not saying this for my own financial advantage, because all the royalties go to Biang, but in a couple of weeks, I hope there'll be a new edition. And so my contribution is helping to contribute to the foundation about the knowledge of basic income. And when I've fulfilled that role, then I can join more actively as an activist for basic income. But I think something's wrong with my, oh, here we are back again. But I think it's all wonderful. It's lovely being in contact with everyone, feeling the support from all around the world, knowing it's not just a local issue. It gives all more strength to our elbow. And I'll be with you in spirit for the next couple of weeks while I'm doing my academic work. And then I hope to be able to join you in a more activist role. But do keep it up. It's so important. And great, Hilda, that you managed to contact the Pope and get a good response. And there's so much good work that people are doing. I applaud it all. Please keep it up. Thank you.
Thank you, Annie. Annie, if you do kindly send a written contribution about your new, about the news about you, we can also share it. It will be written something. We would like to receive it if possible. So
okay.
we can continue with the existing proposals. So the first one is from Hilda Latour. Dear Hilda, I guess, Hilda?
Yes,
So
yeah, I had a little chat with the Pope a few days ago, and he said, don't write a letter, I will be the ambassador of the basic income movement. No, just kidding. We are drafting a letter, relations. Diana, Paul, Peter, and I have made some contributions, and now we are planning to merge that into a masterpiece to send it to the United Nations. And I think that we should write 2 separate letters, one to the spiritual leaders and one to the United Nations, because now, especially when now the Pope has come forward that he actually not only is in favor of a basic, he didn't call it a basic income, but he also encourages activists to be more, to stay active and keep pushing. So I think we have to phrase a few things a little bit different than in the letters to the United Nations. I think we should aim to finalize the letter to the United Nations this week. And I would like to ask all basic income organizations and movements to send in their logos. So we can add as many logos as from all different corners of the world to make it more visual that we are really, from all corners of all over the world. That will sort of push this movement a bit more, I think. So yeah, that's my update. I'm busy with all other kinds of stuff, but that's for later.
Hilda, from your contribution, I see Paul, Diana, Jesse Golem, Peter Brake, Gerder, Hilda, and I was there also. So there's in fact a kind of working group number 1. Can we call it working group number 1?
Yes, we can call this work. It's you, it's Paul, Peter Brake, Diana, Jesse Golem is in it.
Gerder.
And well, my daughter, I never know how to pronounce your name, Gerder, sorry. But it's a Google Docs document folder where we all can, you all have access to it.
And do you need only the logos or also the full names of the platforms or UBI networks?
Also the full names, I think, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So everything regarding your proposal is in your box, and your email address is there also. So before the completion of the letter, or even after the completion of the letter, our friends can send their logos and names of their organizations. Am I right? I mean, just the names of the organizations, not personal issue.
Well, yeah, I mean, we can discuss that if you want, but I think we should at least have all the logos so that we show that all the basic income movements are involved in this.
Okay. We have, okay, when it comes, I will mention about them. So regarding the first one, we are finished. Does anybody Sheila has something to add for the first proposal. Sheila, word is yours.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to ask, I will find your email somewhere and get you the BICN logo from Canada. But I'm also wondering, we have several subnational groups. There's a Basic Income Manitoba, Basic Income Nova Scotia, Ontario, and we have a number of local groups too. Some have their own sort of formalized names and logos. Do you want all of those?
Yep.
Sheila, by the way,
Yes,
Hilde already, Sheila, Hilde already put her email on her proposal. I mean, it is in the Word document. You have it. Hilde at Mission Possible.
Yeah, I just haven't had a chance to go through them yet.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay, it's there. So thank you, Hilde. Of course, we would like to hear your contributions in the other proposals too. So nobody else has anything to say about this proposal, this project, very important project? None. Okay. We will continue with this.
Hilde. Oh, Hilde, please, maybe I did notice, but do we have some draft of letter that everyone can already see and make their proposals?
I can share the link if you want, although I'm not sure if it's possible to write a letter with 20 or more contributors. But I can send a link where you can view it, and if you have any very important comments, you can send them by email. I think that's the workable,
okay.
That's more suitable to work, I think. Is that okay?
Yep.
Okay, Diana would like to contribute. Diana, word is yours. Diana?
Thank you, Ali. Thank you, Ali. I just wanted to say we have a few drafts now in the Google group on this topic. I can suggest to maybe put them together as much as possible, and maybe we can start working from one draft.
Diana, we couldn't hear you well. Would you please tell once again? I couldn't. I mean.
Oh. Sorry, I'm suggesting we have a few drafts, several draft letters right now in the Google group. I can try to put them together. This way we have one draft to work from.
Okay, I mean, Hilde is organizing these efforts, so you can organize within the group. So you are working group one, member of the working group one. So working group one can prepare the final draft and then send it to the other UBI advocates. And if they agree, they can send their logos and the names of their networks so that it will be ready. Okay, there are no more hands. Thank you, Hilde. We are passing to the second one. Second one is an easy one. It was about an email group. It is already there. At the moment, we have 124 members within the group, but we invited about 450 UBI advocates. I guess it will work, but we should use it very responsibly. I mean, we shouldn't send too many small emails, I guess, because I received some complaints from several UBI advocates. So the issue is, the email group is ready, and the name of it is ubi-advocates@googlegroups.com. So the third one, do you have any questions about the second proposal? It is already there. So about the third one, it is by Alexander Darrow. Hilde, would you like to not defend, but tell about the concept on behalf of Alexander? Hilde, are you here?
I'm here.
Yeah.
Well, basically what Alexander was saying, that we had a first basic income march in several cities. I don't know, I can't remember how many, but quite a few. And this year we should take it, prepare more. We have more time now. Last year they had only 6 weeks to organize it. This year we have more time. So he is really looking to people, for people to help him and the American group to make it a truly global march in 20 or more countries with as many cities as possible participating. I think someone from that Basic Income March movement is in the group, so...
Yeah, I can speak to that if you like. I'm Stacey Rutland. I'm founder of Income Movement, which is an organization here in the United States working to get basic income passed at the federal level. And yeah, last year we started the march. It was a little bit later in the year than the Basic Income Week, just due to logistics. But we had 30 cities across the globe participate last year. Thousands of people in the street. We're definitely, we're about to kick off the organizing for the second march, which is now targeted for September 19th, which is the second weekend of Basic Income Week. So really a way for all of us to come together at the end of that week to celebrate the work and to reflect the growth of the movement for basic income across the world. And so we're, just as a heads up to everybody, I'll definitely include this on the listserv, the Google listserv that Ali has set up. But we're working very hard to have opportunities for social protest, regardless of whether or not social distancing and quarantining is still in place. So we anticipate, we're kind of moving forward planning and assuming that we will not be able to have thousands of people together in the street. So so we're coming up with a variety of different public displays of support that we can build over the course of the week, that people can leave behind, almost in the form of art installations around cities, opportunities for people to be able to show their support for basic income and for UBI without necessarily having to have all 1,000 of those people in the street at the same time. So we're gonna kick this off. We have lots of ideas already, but we wanna be able to extend the kind of brainstorm part of it out to the larger community. You'll see an email with a meeting invite related to this, so that we can talk a little bit more about what are the variety of types of activities that make the most sense if we aren't able to march in the streets, where we can still actually demonstrate collectively. And so everybody's invited to that. We'd love to have as many cities across the globe involved as well. I think the 100 cities is we've had that internally as our own goal for this year as well. So so keep your eye out for that. We'll be pulling together basically a best practices of social demonstration in the time of COVID, so that people will have a variety of types of activities they could participate in their own communities and cities if we aren't able to march. And that is something we'll definitely distribute across this team, this group as we pull that together. But we'd love to get your guys' feedback and thoughts on that as well, because we recognize that something that might work in the United States may not work well in other countries, and we want to make sure that we're representing a lot of different ideas that are, you know, doable in different countries.
Thank you, Stacey. I know that Gerdur has some ideas regarding this march in September. We had a phone chat with her. Gerdur, would you like to contribute here? Because it's not in the written documentation. Gerdur, you hear us? I'm trying to unmute you. Where are your name? Okay, Gerdur, word is yours.
Okay. Yes. Well, anyway, so I was thinking concerning the march in September, to make it a celebration work without, you know, not enlisting on a salary list as such, for people, artists, and people who have so much contribution to give to us, and which we actually enjoy in our daily life all the time. So this would be a day more or less dedicated also to the power within, to the passion. So everybody can kind of express with the passion what they love, without asking for necessarily for payment as such. But these people will, of course, need income like everybody else. So if we would do that, we spoke about it to have like an art fair, so we could turn it into some kind of art fair at the same time, with a lot of music and installations and reading books and kids, you know, performing like on Queen's Day in a way. So that was my idea. And it also to catch up with, or link to Team 25, because they have now like a YouTube station, and to see if they can focus on UBI in some of their programs as such during the whole year, but especially during the Mars, so they can have unite all of Europe in enjoyment of inner power as such, our contribution to society, which we can enjoy so much more if we are united forward.
Thank you,
So
Gerda.
that was what was on my heart.
Okay, Alexander is not here, but his account is open. Maybe he is hearing us. My proposition is we should also have a working group about this. I mean, at least we can create ideas. I think Stacy, Hilde, Gerda, Alexander. I mean, if there are more friends, we can add to there. Maybe Barb, why not? I mean, there are too many friends, I guess, who can contribute here. But at this moment, we better say that we have a working group 3. Gerda, is it okay for you to be a member of this group?
Yes.
Hilde?
Yes. Yeah.
And Stacy?
Sounds great.
Stacy,
Yep,
you are
that sounds
okay.
wonderful.
Okay, Hilde, would you
I'm
like to?
to be part of it. I think Robin and Alexander are the ones that are pushing the basic income march.
Okay, Robin.
But if we, yeah.
Yeah, the group can expand. In fact, there will be proposal number 17. There you will see the connection between the proposals also. But at the moment, for working group 3, we have Alexander, Robin, Hilde, Stacy, Gerda, and maybe new ones will come afterwards. Okay, we can continue with number 4. It is from Willem. Willem, are you here? Oh, Alexander, send a sign. Okay, so he's following us. Willem, okay, let me show the contribution of Willem. Maybe he's not here. He says that to make our great ideas much more visible on the streets, squares and stations. I guess this is in fact in connection with working group number 3. So we can say there is no need to a working group, and it's a part of working group number 3. Gerda, you would like to say something?
It's concerning a different matter actually, so maybe not in the line of the Mars.
So it is
what I was thinking in another subject actually.
Is he here today?
So
William is here.
Sorry?
Willem, I cannot pronounce your name maybe correctly. WILLEMGIELINGH, Netherlands. I saw you. Would you like to contribute?
Yeah, I just want to put in one word, because maybe it doesn't fit now here, but later, because I think that we really have to work on what is a livable standard, what is a basic income, what does it cover exactly? Because every single country has a different.
Gerda, it's a separate
so
issue.
That is, yeah.
Yeah, we better discuss it later.
That's what I said. No.
Yeah, but then we are not able to continue. So, William, would you like to contribute?
No, fine.
Thank you.
No.
Gerda, would you like to say something?
No, I said no. I wait until we talk about this issue.
Okay, no, we better reserve some time for it, but concentrate to it. So, William, word is yours. Dear Willem, can you hear us? Would you like to?
I don't think his microphone is working.
His microphone is connected. Now he unmuted. No, muted. Now again. Yes, right now, word is yours, Willem. Are you saying
Yeah,
anything?
on his computer.
Okay, okay. Something wrong. Maybe we can receive his contributions afterwards. I will continue with 5. 5 is by our dear friend Peter Brake from New Zealand. Peter was here. I saw him. Peter, okay, here. Peter, in the meantime, I will open your written proposal too. Yeah, your word is yours.
Thank you very much. So, suggestion on how to finance a world UBI using GST or VAT as the funding mechanism. Now, I've done a project for India, which I'm using for the base understanding of what would be required. So what I've done is collated the GDP per capita for every country to figure out, in a like situation to India, which countries can afford a UBI. So the countries from Burundi to Sudan cannot. The VAT rate in Burundi would need to be 271%. Sudan would need to be 75%. So I'm suggesting that we write a letter to the Ministers of Finance, Social Development, Unemployment, COVID-19, and Health and the Environment in every country. So in tackling that, I don't want to write the same letter to Burundi as we would to someone in Switzerland. So the letter to Burundi to Sudan would be, we require assistance to afford a UBI finance from VAT rate increase, acknowledge their plight and join them in asking for world assistance on affording this crucial basic income. From countries from Nepal to India, on comparing your country's GDP per capita to India, you can afford to fund a UBI of US $1 per day from the raising of the GST VAT rate. Countries from India to Sri Lanka, on having a GDP per capita higher than India, you can afford a UBI of $418 per year from a GST rate of 92%. You can afford to fund a UBI of at least this amount from a GST rate at the same level. Countries from Algeria to Lebanon, with a good GDP per capita, you can afford a UBI which meets the basic needs of all your people. And then attach a worksheet and paper of our findings. Countries from Cuba onwards, with a good GDP per capita, you can afford a UBI which meets the basic needs of all your people. Some countries cannot afford to finance a meaningful UBI, and we are asking all people of more well-off countries to support with a donation of the countries in the EU. I'm suggesting a 10% rise in the VAT rate in Europe, within the European Union. It's got a separate set of calculations. I presented this to the university, Freiburg University. They have a dedicated basic income team there now, which are still looking at the paper. I haven't heard how they've gone with getting through all my calculations. And the wealthier countries not in the EU, with a similar GDP rate per capita, as each of these EU members, we expect you could afford a UBI of X amount funded from a raise in GST rates. So effectively, we have like 6 different situations based on the GDP of each of the countries. So we have a different circumstance, and I want to write a letter to each, which sort of incorporates their situation, their unique situation. So yeah, it'll be six different drafts, and I'm just still working at what to include within their circumstances, as well as having, you know, a section within the letter of the capital tax, the carbon tax and dividend, which speaks to an environment fund that we can use to sort out some of the Earth's other problems. I have got some other ideas on that, but that's basically where I'm up to at the moment. We work in terms of the actual wording of the letters, and the real task will be the emailing out to the different ministers in different countries. So I'm hoping to use, you know, a wider network of affiliates to achieve that. So yeah, thanks very much for taking the time to listen. And
thank you, Peter. Any friends who would like to contribute about his contribution or proposal? None. I have something to say. Peter, my understanding is that you have a concept and you would like to promote this concept by sending letters to certain people at certain positions. Maybe the concept can also be introduced as a small graphics or small cartoon, something like this. And I know a professor from Turkey. He had been attending to the BN Congress in Tampere 2 years ago. He is also interested with such models. He's a part of the Turkish basic income community. I can connect you, and I think we should have a working group number 5. Do you agree, Peter?
Yes, it's great. Yeah, appreciate any connection. Anybody with real tech, you know, Facebook pages, skills would be really useful. I have an idea at the moment to put out a Facebook inquiry of, would you donate 1% of your UBI to support the world to achieve the same UBI? Some sort of generic question that people can answer and spread the word that way, and hopefully get support. You know, maybe a drop-down letter that they can then send to their ministers if they do agree, or even if they don't. They might not want to donate 1% of the UBI, but still want a UBI. So I'm just thinking along those lines, and whether or not we can get a lot more interaction going. If people saw that was on the table as a way of us actually worldwide, the wealthier countries, there's about 30 that are in need, but the amount of money is really small. Like 1% of my UBI would be sufficient for two people to survive in Burundi. So I think it might catch on, given where everybody is in lockdown, and I think it would be a way for people to sort of acknowledge that it's a worldwide problem, and there's some people there that we need to be looking out for. So I think it might work, but I don't have the cash to be able to set up a new website. I have one website, which is my UBI. Certainly don't have resources to do anything like that, but someone with the tech now just to tell me whether or not it is possible to run that on Facebook and collate the yes and no answers so that we can report back on it would be appreciated.
Thank you, Peter. There are 2 contributions regarding your proposal. First one is from dear Olaf. Olaf, word is yours.
Thank you very much. Well, I think there are 2 proposals in one here. The one thing is to write letters to all the ministers of finance of all the countries all over the world and saying that a universal world basic income is now on the table and they should advocate for that. And the other thing is to form the working group to present them with a feasible model for that. So I think there should be two aspects of this proposal being discussed here, because I think sending the letters to the ministers and other people that are in touch with the real decisions to make here cannot wait for us to come up with a real model for that. So I think this should be executed beforehand, and then we could, as this working group, think of how would we do this? How would we propose the financing for this? But I think really the states, the countries, the persons that meet on the international levels, they should know that they should discuss this now and come up with a solution on their own.
Thank you, Olaf. I will have few words to you, but let's hear Paul Harnett from World Basic Income. Dear Paul. Paul,
Yeah,
word is yours.
it. Okay. I feel very guilty. I've been meaning to review your work for the last week, Peter. I will do it. So I'll go in that working group with you. I'll just make one comment, and that is I'm a little skeptical about using sales tax or VAT. The reason I say that is I think it was probably appropriate in the United States for Yang to go down that road. I'm not sure it is in every country. Some countries already have their sales taxes there, so we'd have to look at each country one by one. And the other thing I'd like to say about sales tax is that it's regressive, which concerns me, which is why we've always avoided it and rather gone for taxes which would impact upon the rich a lot more. But having said all of that, I will sit down and seriously look at your proposal, Peter, and I'm really happy to go into the working group with you.
Thank you, Paul. Liz Folksman, Liz, word is yours. I'm trying. Okay, you are unmuted.
Yeah, thanks. You can hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Great. I just, having now for a number of years spent time in various panels at various conferences and congresses, etc., around financing, basic income and tax models and cost. I'm not sure that's a rabbit hole that we want to go down for this particular venue with this particular aim. You know, I think there's lots of people who disagree with the value-added tax model. There's people who propose carbon taxes, there's people who propose wealth taxes. And I feel like what I'm hearing here is that we would like to take advantage of this particular moment and this particular crisis to make a case for basic income, you know, around the world. And I think going into the kind of cost rabbit hole might actually sort of dilute the messaging of that. And I wonder if we could just leave that to the side, let individual countries debate that when actual proposals are on the table, but maybe not sort of get distracted by these debates right now.
Peter 2, word is yours. Peter 2. Oh, I see. Okay, now Peter, you are here. But before you can I say a few words? Maybe you can answer all of them all together. Regarding Olaf's proposition to have two separate working groups. In the coming proposals, in proposal 19, proposal 17, in proposal 17, there is an infrastructure project, and it will support too many other proposals. So my point is, we better keep working group 5 as one working group, and in the future, if we need, it can split into 2. But for this stage, we better keep it as one, because when you go to number 17, you will see that there are some infrastructure projects which can help to other groups too, so it will be more easy to handle this one. Peter, also, can you wait one more contributor? Sheila would like to contribute. So as a owner of this proposal, you can say everything you want at as a last contributor. Okay, Sheila, word is yours, Sheila.
Hi, thanks. I just wanted to comment on what Liz was saying and about these different proposals for financing. Canada, Basic Income Canada Network has actually gone down that rabbit hole in Canada, and we've done like very, very rigorous, sophisticated modeling. We did not use GST, the value-added route, because it was regressive, but that proposal is on the table in Canada too, put forward by others. But I think the most important message is that countries are so different. You know, like what Andrew Yang is proposing for the States would never fly here. The models that we've developed are very particular to a context that we can slip into easily. Like we've tried to make this as easy as policymakers to do it and to do it right in the Canadian context. But we simply developed options, and we tasked governments and finance ministers with coming up with the real thing. And I think that is, to me, the important message of the letters getting out to the international community, is to task those people responsible to talk to us, to look at the research everybody's doing, and to develop a model that will work for the world.
Thank you, Sheila. Before Peter, Olaf, would you like to say anything else? Olaf, I cannot see you. Yeah, one second. Yeah, Olaf, would you like to add something else? I mean, regarding to splitting. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Well, I wasn't suggesting to put up 2 different working groups. I'm totally fine with talking about sending letters via the working group on topic 17. I was only saying that I see 2 different tasks here that could be focused. The one task is to put on the agenda the world basic income. May it be as it like. I'm not advocating for any model here. And the second is really to come up with a discussion with the models, what Peter said. So I only wanted to make sure that we distinct between these 2 tasks, because they're not the same, I think. And we can think of the second task working on it on group 17, if you like. I totally agree with that.
Group 17 or group 25? It's a totally new idea then. So you propose to have 2 separate working groups, one for promoting world basic income, the other for the models that may be used for such a, am I correct?
Not really. Not really. I just said these are 2 tasks, and I think you already introduced the second working group by introducing proposal number 17. So we can discuss this when we discuss proposal number 17.
Okay then. Peter, word is yours then. Peter,
yeah, thank you everybody for the feedback. All of the other, Paul was the other main mover with a world basic income proposals. I've seen his paper in South Korea, and really appreciate it if you could send that to me as well, because there's ideas there that I've forgotten. I know you were talking about a US $1. Now, in terms of the modelling, I've spent 6 years working on this. The work done in India is a model. It's a model that you can work out what your GST or VAT rate would be required. If you use the Indian model, put your country's financial details into it, you'll come to an answer that tells you how to finance it, what the GST rate would be, and what you can afford. So that's something that will be attached to the letter for most nations. The European Union model is a heck of a lot more complicated, and that would be given to the ministers within Europe. Hopefully, we can get some support for that work from the Freiburg University. Now, the thing about, I was supposed to present a paper about the optimal way of funding a UBI. So there's a lot of work on the back of all of this, and I have got a gosh, I was supposed to finish this in September, so I've had to hurry it, and I have actually got a position on each of the different taxation methods and why I'm suggesting what I'm doing, what has advantages, what has disadvantages, and the reasoning behind it. So that works I've got that, which hopefully we can look at whether or not that should be it. And everything is shareable. So if anyone wants to read any of this, most welcome. In preparing the models,
Peter, I guess during these meetings we should concentrate to kind of structuring the concepts. I mean, we better not go into the details of the concept, because if you do like this, then it will be very difficult to take care of the remaining 20 more proposals. I mean,
okay.
Can we consider that you will have a working group number 5, and can we consider Sheila and Olaf? Do you both of you think that you can also join Peter? And I will also introduce Professor Özer Ertun'a. Olaf, I can't see you. Oh, yeah, Olaf is okay. Sheila, would you like to? I cannot see you. Okay, Peter, can we say that we have a working group number 5? You are there, Olaf is there, maybe Sheila will join, and I will also ask to Professor Ertun'a. And do you think this is a good result for this meeting?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, everybody. But look, I just wanted to talk just a moment on the fact of it hits the poorest people. So within the modelling, you increase the base UBI to cover the inflation that's caused from the UBI being put in. So in New Zealand, instead of getting 300 UBI, you get 390 because of the increase in the GST rate that you needed to have to fund the UBI. So you set the base, the one that gets hit the worst, the poorest that gets hit the worst, you make sure that they're okay by increasing the UBI as you increase the GST. It's circular, but you can get there. So the worst off aren't worse off. The people who spend the money are the ones that pay the tax.
Thank you, Peter. Okay. We will continue with proposals 6, 7, and 8. 3 of them are from dear Anya Askaland. Anya, are you? I saw you once. Where are you? Oh, Anya. Okay.
Yeah,
Anya.
hello?
Yeah, you have three.
Yeah.
You have 3 proposals or 3 contributions.
Yeah, I thought of it. I don't have it in front of me. I thought of it as a comment after the last meeting.
I will put it in the screen.
Yeah.
So the first one is this one.
Ah, yes, that is.
And the second one is this one.
Yes.
And the third one is this one. So you have 3 separate paragraphs.
Yes. I don't think we need to discuss any of those now. It was just I sent this letter to Pope Francis that we sent many years ago in regard to the ECI in Europe, just in case someone needed some inspiration. But I think you are they are working very well on that already. So maybe I should just talk about the inputs I would like to come with today. One of them are last meeting. It came up that BN is not supporting openly this emergency basic income, but it is nice to use the logo. I think and all the affiliates can use the logo to BN because BN Norway has made that logo, and if any affiliate to BN would like to have a logo adjusted to their national affiliates, please just get in touch with us. I have put out the link, no, the email into the chat, so if you want to do that. The other thing is regarding the basic income march. I talked to Sjur today, and we have thought about making a concert, to get artists and singers into, to get attention to the basic income idea. And he is really ready to work on that. We are more optimistic about the coronavirus, and we hope it will be possible to have some public meetings. So this is something we are thinking about, maybe in the basic income week before March. Yeah. So that is the one proposal. And the last thing is just a question, because I'm in touch with a journalist in Norway who is very interested in this international work. And I would like, and maybe it's good for the website, to have an overview of all the proposals that are made and the policies that has been done or are on the way to be done in the different countries all over the world, just to see the full impact. But maybe there is, and I just haven't been following up. Yeah, that was it. That was my things.
Thank you, Anya. Thank you. In number 10, proposal number 10, you will see something close to your proposal or close to your need, but we will come to it. So regarding number 6, 7, and 8, in fact, there were contributions, and there's no need to make any new working group, my understanding. So they are not a proposal, they are contributions. So we can proceed with number 9. Number 9 is from dear Olaf. Olaf, are you on? Where are you?
Please
Olaf,
unmute me.
Yeah, would you like me to share first what is okay?
Well, it's basically a matter of structuring on our website. I've just had a look and I see there are already articles that are connected to responding by advocating for BN after and in the corona crisis. These articles, I think they're spread a little about the news topic. So the main suggestion is to have them collected within the news topic on our website, so that anyone who is looking for anything that connects UBI with the corona pandemic and the response to that can find all these articles easily at one place. But this is only for the administrators of our website to execute. so there's no need for a working group here. It's just if they say it's possible that it can be done, then I would like to have it done. And if it's not possible, then we will find the articles spread over the other topics. I found them, but I think it would be nice to have a collection of them.
Thank you, Olaf. Any contributions to Olaf's proposal? Robin, would you like to? Where is it? PR, okay. Robin?
Yes, you want to have a collection of all those articles, but when you have a search box, and when you put in Corona or COVID on the BN website, you get all the articles. That's what I wanted to say.
Thank you, Robin. Barb?
Yeah, it's just to say, also just to flag up the initiative that Sarath and Neil Howard and someone else are working on, which is emergencybasedincome.com, where they're collecting all these different initiatives. I mean, I think the thing to do would be to get in touch. I think it's Andre who's mainly running the website, or Tyler. You know, obviously this needs to be reflected on the website. There is, I'll put it in the box, but there's a separate emergency-based income site which is being contributed.
Thank you, Barb. Olaf, would you like to add anything? No? Okay, maybe we should consider this with number 10 also, the coming one. Then, if you like, we can talk once again. Number 10, let me share in the screen. Okay, here. Okay. Number 10 is a survey proposal. And the questions are, first, maybe we should ask the name of the country, and then how have the UBI movement in your country been affected by the COVID-19 period? Maybe negatively or positively, I mean, depending on your country's position. Do you think the soul or the characteristics of UBI, I mean, the universality, unconditionality, individuality, whether it is sufficient or not, lifetime or not, are these characteristics are in danger or not? This may be a third question. And also another question might be, do you think some politicians are trying to degenerate the concept of UBI? Another question may be, what category of activities do you recommend UBI advocates to perform in a national scale? And sixth one may be, what category of collaborative activities do you recommend UBI advocates to perform internationally? Also, we can ask dear friends whether they are in communication, interaction, and collaboration with other international advocates, I mean, or UBI advocates internationally, and whether they have any need for additional tools for communication, and their expectations from UBI networks, and these kind of questions can be asked. But the last last two of them is question number 12 and 13 is regarding the economic measures taken by different countries. We can ask the definition or the name of the economic measure, then we can ask the size and amount of the measure, and we can ask whether or the duration of it, and lastly we can ask who will directly benefit from this measure, companies or people. I am not sure Sarat is here or not. Maybe he can say a few words, or Hilda can say a few words. There are some people who say that the economic measures, I mean, the money spent to the economic measures should be spent to the people, not to the companies. So number 12 is regarding the economic measures. And number 13, if in a country, they do have a proposal similar to UBI, to figure out the similarities and discrepancies, we can ask whether it is universal or not, whether it is unconditional or not, whether it is a sufficient amount or not. I mean, these are the questions. It's a draft version, of course. So why not to have a survey and share the results of the survey so that people can study on it, or people can criticize on it, or people can support it. It was proposal 10. Any questions or any comments? Barb? Barb? Please. Oops. Barb, now it's okay. Would you please start from the beginning? Yes.
Yeah, no, it's just to say, yeah, I think this is a great questionnaire, but I'm just worried that efforts are starting to be duplicated. I don't know what Sarath is doing. I don't know what BN is doing. You know, it's the kind of thing that maybe BN should give to all of its affiliates. I mean, they'll have the email addresses, whether they're on this call or not.
Hilda, are you on the line?
I don't know where Hilda is.
I am on the line. I am on the line. What do you want me to say?
Hilda, I remember during one of our chats, Sarat or you mentioned about an old gentleman, 86 years old. He created the touch screens, remember?
Yeah.
And he said that we should write a letter to IMF, ask IMF to give money not to the companies, but to the people, that kind of stuff. Do you remember?
Yeah, Bela Hadvani.
Yeah, Bela Hadvani, okay.
Yeah, and Sarat asked him to record an interview where he sort of like discusses that idea with an economist, and to put a video on. But that has nothing to do with the questionnaire, but...
No, the questionnaire is in fact creating public awareness because there are economic measures.
Yeah, no, I realize that. I realize that, Ali. I'm just saying, you know, I don't know what, you know, until we hear from Sarath what they're doing, you know, I don't want to see sort of work to be duplicated. Do you understand? I don't want to see, like, you know, different people doing the same thing.
Sarat is not doing anything similar to this one. Sarat is in connection with this gentleman or lady, I don't know, and they have an idea. They have an idea to write a letter to IMF to ask them to distribute money to the people, not to the companies. So such a survey may.
No, but I'm talking, Ali. No, Ali. No. I'm talking about the questionnaire.
Okay. No other questionnaire.
About the IMF.
No other questionnaire.
No, I mean, I'm just wondering, is this, you know, what makes sense to me is if the questionnaire is distributed by BN.
No, I don't know any attempt of BN about this.
Yes, can I say
any
something?
Initiative like this.
Ali?
Yes.
Julio Linares is collecting, and he is a part of the executive committee of BN.
Yeah.
He's collecting stories, narratives from all over the world, where we say what is happening in our country and how it fits with the basic income concept. So I think it would be very good to align with him, because I think this questionnaire is an excellent idea, and it will give more structure, an overview of all the different things that are happening all over the world.
Yes, Hilda, I remember Julio's contribution last time, and I had to put into the chat box too some of the questions about the basic income proposals on the table in different countries. Okay, I will be in contact with Julio, and we will try to make it more, how can I say, more strong. Okay,
yeah,
so
it will prevent you from discussing the executive committee meeting. Julio is already collecting it, so it can be, you know, smoothly fit in that project.
okay, I will talk to Julio. I don't know what's ongoing in the executive committee meetings. Okay, let's go to number 11. Paul Harnett. Paul, are you there?
Okay, I'm here now.
Oh, okay. Paul, your contribution is here on the screen.
Yeah, well, that will be dealt with in the working group that is working on the letter.
Okay, so it's a part of the working group 1. Am I correct?
I think so, yeah.
So would you like to add anything else?
Not really. I suppose some people might disagree with what I've said in there. I could read it out. Possibly. if you show it again, I'll read it.
Okay, I will. 1 second. Okay. Here is it.
I'm trying to get it myself. Okay, we should emphasize coverage so that any national schemes should include every person within that country. So it would include migrants, non-citizens, people in jail, everybody. We should also come up with suggestions for implementation in poorer countries, e.g. use of international aid budget, form of fund for a world income which could receive revenues from carbon dioxide extraction, digital data tax, intellectual property tax, deep sea mining levy, etc. I also suggested that any basic income should provide children with the full amount, with mothers ordinarily receiving the amount, if not, then the guardian. I also emphasised that any basic income should be universal and not conditional. Okay. That's it.
Thank you. Okay, thank you, Paul. Peter, I have to find yours. Okay, Peter. Yes, Peter.
Thank you. Brilliant, Paul. Interested in what you've got with the etc. there as well for the different financing methods. Just to mention the mining one within Africa, there's 5 nations with really large resources. Them getting together and increasing rates to multinationals and any other countries as well could be another way to help fund these things as well.
Thank you, Peter. We'll continue with 12. Lane and Guyleen Middleton. Lane and Guyleen are here, okay. Where was the text of Selam, şu anda konuşmadayım. Bana bir şey sormayın şu anda.
Yes, Ian Middleton here from New Zealand. Unfortunately, we can't talk about any progress being made here. The indications from the government yesterday is sort of rather negative. Rather than talk about individual help, they're talking about help for households. And as far as students, they mentioned students as a problem because a lot of students work part-time. Now because of the lockdown, they're unable to earn any income. So the government's response to that has been to increase the amount that they can borrow on their student loans, which is not really helping them very much at all. So I'm still hopeful that we can get through to the government that we want to have a basic income, that they should be thinking about individuals. And so we will be continuing our lobbying work. That's all I can report.
Now I find the contribution you sent by email. So do you have any words to add?
Nothing more to add.
Okay, thank you. So number 13 is from India. One Aslar is here. He's not, I guess. No, but let me show his contribution to be on the safe side. So one Aslar says, I was interested to start a chapter in Kuala Lumpur. Is there anyone interested in the area? This was his contribution. And also he says that he liked the idea of the 100-country UBI event. 100-country UBI event. But at the moment he's not here. So next one is from Diana. Diana. Who is okay. Diana, I guess he's not, okay, she's not able to answer. So I will go to number 16, Stacy. Stacy.
Hi there.
Hi, I will just put into the screen your contribution.
Okay. The biggest thing, I think, as I've been listening to everybody's conversations, there's kind of two things that income movement in the United States is really thinking about. One is, from a strategic perspective, we're really focusing on emergency UBI as a response to COVID-19 and building the grassroots support for that across our people here in the United States to apply pressure to the people in power who are making decisions about stimulus right now. So in many ways, we recognize that that this is an opportunity for us to, in many ways, kind of change the hearts and minds of people in our country around the need for UBI. And so by focusing on emergency right now over the next several weeks, what we're really hoping to do is to give people an opportunity to experience what UBI feels like and the value of it, especially as we as a country are hitting more and more disasters and crises that have an economic impact. So I don't know if that's, most of what I've been hearing today sounds like it's really about the longer term vision of a permanent UBI and the need for just support this on taking advantage of the moment that we find ourselves in, with a large percentage of our population suddenly kind of finding themselves in the midst of poverty. So what we've been doing right now really is an action campaign where we work kind of on 3 levels or 3 layers of a movement. We have the grassroots layer, we have the kind of thought leadership layer, and then we have the political impact layer. And we've been really kind of bouncing between all 3 of these pretty consistently in our strategy and approach. But the action campaign that we're working on is the kind of the foundation, and that's the grassroots layer. And this is letter writing campaigns. This is we have people writing letters to the editor and op-ed pieces to their local and regional news organizations to try to get this on the radar of both local government officials all the way up to federal. We're meeting every day during the week to bring together leaders in grassroots organizing to keep everybody up to date. We're also sharing resources. Mutual Aid, I'm sure you all know, has been doing an amazing job of pulling together resources at a very regional and targeted level. So most of the cities in the United States actually has spreadsheets of all of the resources for things like food banks, support mechanisms to try to take care of the people in ways that the government is not right now. And we have a team of people who is helping disseminate that across all of the states and making sure people understand what those are and that they can share them within their own communities. So we've really been trying to focus right now a lot of our energy on a response to COVID and really building goodwill and support for the idea of basic income through a lot of different mechanisms. So that's what we're doing. I'm happy to share a link to the actual plan so you can see the different things. We've been doing it for about 6 weeks now. Some of them are very time constrained. If something's happening specific in our Congress that we know we need to get very intense over the course of a few days. Some are ongoing, you know, the kinds of pressures that we can just continue to fuel by the people. But that's a big part of what we're doing. Alongside, we've already talked about the Basic Income March and Basic Income Week and really driving towards that. We are supporting candidates in the United States who are running on UBI, and this is an election year, so we're putting some real energy into trying to help support. Obviously, COVID, I don't know if how many other countries are in the midst of elections, but it's very difficult under COVID for most of the kind of second tier candidates who aren't maybe supported by the primary political institutions. It's hard for them to actually connect with their constituents and make any progress right now because they can't knock on doors, they can't hold public meetings in their communities to be able to get their name recognition out and get their platform out there. So we're trying to help funnel as many volunteers as possible to do the remote work that can happen, like phone banking and text banking and letter writing and all of those things, so we can be reaching people in their homes right now. Because our goal is really to send a strong message to the political establishment that people support candidates who run on UBI. We think that's a really critical and important part of reaching the majority that we need in our own government to be able to pass legislation. That's it. Ollie, you're muted.
Okay, thank you, Stacy. Peter is trying to say something. Let me unmute him. Oh, mute. Okay, I'm muted already. Peter, word is yours.
I'm sorry, did I have my hand up? I was unaware of it.
Okay, okay,
no.
Okay, thank you. Anybody who would like to contribute to Stacy's contributions? In fact, Stacy's contributions are in the emails at 16 and 18. Number 16 and 18 are together. There are in 2 parts. Now I will mention about number 17. I think it's an important one. Number 17 is, you see, we are talking about letters to send to spiritual leaders or government bodies, prime ministers, presidents, etc., etc. But we should have a list of them, and it should be very, very inclusive. I mean, we should cover as much as different parties from different corners of the world. For example, if we are going to send something to a government, then we should try to send as much as different governments do. Or if we are going to send to a spiritual leader, we should try to send different spiritual leaders too. So, for example, in case we can have such a survey, I will put many different organizations to the list, or many different spiritual leaders, so that the coverage will be larger. For example, we are talking about Pope, but there's also the Orthodox Church, and there are other religions, there are other sects, and there are other spiritual groups, let's say. So I think we need a kind of list where should be addressed, to whom should be addressing. And this is in number 17 in the Word document, which I sent by email. Anybody would like to say about this? No? Okay, let's continue with number 19. Number 19 is, okay, from Julio Linares. Is he here today? Julio is not with us, but let me show his contribution. Okay. So these are, okay, Julio Linares. He says, to all our affiliates and friends at BN, we would like to encourage you to send us, Malcolm and Julio Linares, the latest developments in your respective countries regarding emergent basic income policies, their particularities and limitations in relation to BN's definition. In light of the current crisis, we would like to keep the BN website updated with the latest news regarding UBI and keep the public well informed. Here's an excellent example written by Liar Rincon, President UBIE, on the situation in Spain. So this was the contribution from Julio. So my understanding is they are collecting independent proposals. In fact, he mentioned this during our last meeting. Any contribution about this? Nobody is raising hands? Oh, Paul.
Ali?
One second, Eva Maria. Paul.
I raised my hand about the previous issue, actually.
Okay. I'm sorry. I couldn't see it. So you can continue, Paul.
All right, just very quickly. I've looked before at trying to cover all the religious leaders of the world to address a letter to. So I don't mind contributing to that.
So
okay.
you have the list, you mean?
I had a list about 2 years ago, and I can try and dig it out again. But it's important to cover every single religion. For example, Islam. You have to be very careful to make sure that you cover all branches of Islam. So I tried to do that for a letter I wanted to send to religious leaders previously, so I can help, okay?
Yeah, that's great. That's great. In fact, that was my point too. I mean, while trying to develop something, we shouldn't hurt something else. I mean, my point was this. And yeah, very nice to hear this, Paul. Thank you.
Okay.
Regarding Julio's contribution, is there any contribution or any words you would like to say? Oh, Gerda.
I just wanted to add into the letter, because I was thinking about these huge organizations of volunteers, women, United Nations Women Organization, and there are vast organizations, huge organizations all around the world helping this and helping that. And if we would spot those and also send them, because, for example, I was in contact here with United Women and United Nations, and they are all trying to help women to take care of their children and all these problems that they are facing. But basic income would be really the basic help that they would have to go on. We should take all the refugees camps, because, for example, if all the refugees would get basic income, that would really help them to live there. And it seems to be a policy not to make the refugee camps livable, but we could also, with basic income, there would be more pressure of doing something. Self-help. That is my. Yeah, that is what I wanted to put in.
Thank you, Gerda. One second. Okay. So, in fact, the idea was to have a list or the full list of the key people or the key positions. That's why your contributions are very important. I mean, women and children, that kind of subgroups are very important. So I will continue with 20, number 20. Shobhana Nelasko from India. Is he here? Let me go to 20. Okay. I guess it's more a contribution rather than proposal. To tell the truth, I didn't have time to read them, but the owner is not here, so maybe we cannot do much about this. Maybe we should continue with the next one. Jim Mulmail. Jim Mulmail is here.
Yeah, thanks, Ali.
Okay, I will put it in the screen, Jim. 1 second.
Okay.
Okay, Jim, this is your...
Sure. I sent this in as just sort of a bit of an update on what our federal government's been doing with the sort of emergency short-term measures with the pandemic situation. And there's a bunch of points here, you can read them all. You know, wage subsidies for people, for employers that are having to lay off employees, loosening up the eligibility for employment insurance, which is our social insurance program for people to lose their job. And they've also introduced what they're calling the Canada Emergency Response Benefit for people that fall through the cracks of EI but are losing paid employment. And there's a bunch of other measures. I mean, that's all in the email here. I won't go through every one. I guess a number of us says, and there's at least 3 other Canadians still on the call might want to comment, that a number of us are concerned some kind of response is good. And I think this Liberal government has done what they think will help people, and it will to some extent. But as basic income advocates, we're concerned that there's gaps, there's holes, so we should be taking a more comprehensive and unconditional approach and just simplify things too. Some of these programs can be very complicated. And B, what happens as the emergency subsides? So how do we translate this into durable and ongoing and sustainable benefits? Our approach in Canada has always been to advocate, at least the Base Canada Network, I think our provincial affiliates, of advocating for income-tested benefits. Sheila Reguera talked about this earlier. She's the chair of Basic Income Canada Network. I think she had to leave the call. But what seems to make sense in Canada from our point of view is an income-tested approach, using the tax and transfer system to build on existing programs and come up with maybe basic income architecture, if not a single basic income program. So, I mean, as Guy Standing, when he started the meeting, he mentioned this. I mean, this terrible situation we're in is also an opportunity to advance the discussion and maybe move closer towards implementation of something very close to a basic income in our various countries. So that's kind of where we're at in Canada, and that's the brief summary that I included in the document here. But I think we have, I know we have Jesse Golem, Luc Gosselin, and John Mills. I think those are the Canadians still on the call. If they want to add anything.
Thank you, Jim. Any additions? I guess none. Thank you, Jim. Thank you for your contribution. Sure. We will continue with item 22 from Gerder. Gerder, are you online? Yeah, you are here. Okay.
Yes.
I will put your proposal in the screen.
Okay. So, I'm trying to remember what it was.
UBI.
Yes.
You see in the screen?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, that's it. Yes, well, what I think that we should press much more, that is the stimulation for the economy, because we're always talking about, at least here in Iceland and where I have followed, we always talk about companies and individuals as two different branches. But the UBI will stimulate the economy more than anything else, because then the business will go on as usual, more or less. There will be a strong bloodstream into the economy. And I think that also for the worldwide economy, it will be a slow change from the harakiri economy that we are now getting used to, we are living by, and it will turn into a circular economy in a much bigger way. And like I was listening to Vananda Siva, and she was saying, like, growing something, you're not producing if you're growing for yourself. If you eat your how to say, what you grow. And the same thing with UBI, there will be a lot of small self-sustainable companies, and that will also benefit for the total economy. So I think we should really focus a lot on the sustainability that the UBI will worldwide produce.
Thank you.
Sorry?
Okay, yes, are you finished or?
And I think this way we will be able, or UBI will be able, I think, to deliver the world that Greta Thunberg and her companions are pleading for. For me, that is the only real visible possibility to do that. Because also there are a lot of people, all the power, the manpower in these hands that are idle today, will be stimulated. They have the possibility to do things, because it takes money to make money. So I think we should really press on that point a lot, much more than we do.
Thank you, Gerda. Ingun is raising hand. Ingun, welcome, and word is yours.
Thank you. Yeah, I just want to add to what Gerda is saying, that according to the sustainability goals, now we are in the midst of a crisis, but very soon we go back to the real deep crisis on Earth, and we will experience both the health crisis and climate crisis in the same period, all the years to come, and pandemics will come in waves, and the climate crisis will show itself in waves. So it's like we need to have this in our backheads. We need to remember the climate crisis approach while we are dealing with the COVID-19 crisis. And then we could say things like climate income is part of basic income. And we say that in Norway because I'm working actively both in the climate, Citizens Climate Lobby and the UBI movement, so, and the Green movement. So it's like weaving these perspectives together. And Gerda and we are working together in the Nordic UBI work on making some kind of information to take the SDGs into account. So the reason I chose this chapter is that Gerda has a link to the climate movement, mentioning Greta's approach, you know. And in Norway we have the climate roar. We scream for the climate, you know, and we should have the same scream against poverty as we have for the climate. And now these things are very interwoven. So I just want to support ideas. Thank you.
Thank you, Ingun. Paul? Paul, what is yours?
Okay, could not agree more with both of you. So I'd just like to say in the draft letter that I put in that we're going to send to the United Nations, etc., etc. Yeah, that will include the carbon tax. I mean, World Basic Income is affiliated to environmental movements as well. And if some of you know me individually and know that, yeah, it's right up there at the top of the list. We believe that poverty, climate, and pandemics are all interconnected. So with respect to burning CO2, yeah, that's part of the solution. We want a massive tax on CO2. I could go into the details. It's not exactly a tax, it's more of a fee. But also, Gerda, I think you're absolutely right about the circular economy. We've also looked into that, and one of the best ways to promote that is to have a single-use tax. Okay, so that would also be in the list of taxes that we would say could be used to put into a fund for a world basic income. We're all in agreement.
Thank you, Paul. Gerda would like to continue.
Yeah.
Gerda.
Yes, now I've started. Now, what I was thinking, what we have to talk about also, or to open our eyes for, that is when those people who have no possibility to do what they want to do or focus on doing things, then all this power is immune. They cannot do it. Can you imagine the million hands, the growth of the base? This is the base of everything that is growing things and changing the economy. Like Vandana Shiva said, you know, she is working very much on that. So that would be a stimulation beyond any money given as that. And also that the biggest destruction of the earth and of the whole world, that is warfare. And there is very, very little talk from any government anywhere about peace. It's always about more war, a different this and different wars and different aggression, but they never start out with what happened to peace. There's never discussion about that. So if we make some demands to change this warfare into welfare and use the same manpower, because a lot of the people who are drafted into war, they are people looking for a job and stability, sustainability, education, and I don't know what. But if they would change the war for the welfare of the earth, they don't need new manpower. The manpower that is there now will just change the work description. You see, it is not a hocus pocus, except that now it goes just about killing. Now we have to go into living. So I think we should really put, how do you say, power on that. Thank you, that's me. I'm finished for a while. What I was also thinking about the Pope, my friend, my future friend. I want him to make a small pilot in the Vatican, run by the Vatican, to make, they start with Italy or the slums in Italy, to make Italy a country without poverty. That would be a very good mission for the Vatican. I think they could afford it, we see.
Gerda, you have one more contribution. Maybe I better open it. If you do have anything else to add for it, maybe they are. You remember
open
this
it
one?
to me.
Oh, it is there. It's in the screen.
Yes, what I wanted to, what we were discussing, that is, how is the poverty line measured? What do you need to live? So if everybody will have their basic needs listed, and then in every country they have to measure how much it costs, and that will be the poverty line, not just percentage of something, because that doesn't say anything, that has no reality threat to Earth. So it has to be how much does it cost? And like here in Iceland, we have all different ways of measuring the poverty line. but it's always measured to salaries. Can you put it up again, what I was trying to say there? Because I don't have it in front of me.
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
Yes, sure, I'm doing it.
Because the thing is that people always say it's too expensive to this and to that. We cannot, and most of these subsidies that people get, and it is always below living standards. So we are fostering poverty by this, like Sarah said, it's a deprivation. So with deprivation, we produce poverty. So if we want to stop that production, we have to change the measure. And I think that is a vital importance to do that. And then we have fluctuating measure calculation every month, just as the valuta, yeah, and then it will always be fixed. It's the fixed line monthly that people get. So every country has to measure it on their own, and they have different amounts that it costs in each country to do. And there's no further, development on that.
Gerda, are you proposing a kind of working group about this?
Yes.
Okay.
I think it's extremely important.
Okay. Is there any contribution regarding Gerda's proposal?
Paul and Inge?
Most countries have calculated their own poverty line. And it's an inexact science. If you go onto the World Bank website, you can find poverty lines for pretty much every country in the world. Yeah, as I say, it's an inexact science. I'm not saying that I'd like to join that working group. I think it's a really difficult job. And it'll vary enormously. I mean, just between the United States and the UK, the fact that we've got a national health service, okay, it's on its knees, and that they haven't means that the poverty line is different. And each country, it will keep changing all of the time.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's a very important thing to do, to know what a basic income should be. But I think it's a very difficult job. Good luck.
No. I see I'm not muted, so up to you, Ali. But the thing is that, of course, it is difficult because it's always calculated from the wrong view. I mean, if you want to bake a cake, you don't put stone in your pot, That is a stone soup. So what we have to do, it is to take, you need to eat, you need to live, you need a house. This is the list. And that costs differently much in different countries. And that has to be the base how each country calculates their basic income. Because like you say now, it's just in the air. It is just from, like here, it's calculated from wages. But maybe, I could, if you send me a link where I can really study how it is done in different countries, that would be the best base for the group to study and to see if we can find a better solution. There's no use to talk about basic income if we don't have any basic income calculation system as such, because what is basic income? It is supposed to make your life possible.
Thank you, Gerda. John Mills from Canada would like to contribute. John, word is yours, John.
Thank you. I just wanted to point out that a country the size of Iceland and most European countries, they're small enough that you could actually come up with one number. Canada, a couple of years ago, instituted a market basket measure to calculate the level of poverty. And it's being calculated on different areas. I mean, a country the size of Canada, the income required in Newfoundland is considerably different from Toronto, from Vancouver, from the far north, where, a loaf of bread in the far north is 6 times what the price of it is in the south. So you're not only running into problems of calculating what is an amount for a basic income for a country. You've got to calculate it for every different area of a country, for countries that have some considerable size to them.
Thank you, John. Ingun, and then Janus. I saw your hand, Janus.
John.
Yeah.
John,
But Janus first,
have a-
Ingun is contributing.
Oh.
Ingun.
Thank you, John. Can you say is the price levels in different areas in Canada also so different, and that for having an equal purchasing power of UBI, we should also think about different amounts in different areas of Canada. Thank you.
Well, that's a consideration, but it really gets, I mean, in Canada, we've got Canada Pension Plan, which is a base rate for all of Canada. It doesn't matter where you live. And we could go that route, but in some area, basically you've got to, if you want to do it countrywide, you've got to do it for something like Iqaluit, which is in the far north, where, you know, as I say, a loaf of bread is 6 times the price what it is in the south. And that would be an astronomical cost for the country. And basically it would be to serve a few thousand people, which is not really, you know, and when you get into, okay, we're gonna look at different areas and give them different amounts, then you've got the shifting populations, and a basic income would give them the ability to go where the jobs are, or find a market where they think that you know, what they are offering will do better. And what do you do when they move territories, and how do you track that? And it just gets really complicated.
Thank you, John. Ingun?
Yes, because the first SDG is to eradicate poverty. So this means as all the countries in the world need to show how they are working on the SDGs, they have to put a language and on these things. But the problem is that the rich countries, they don't believe that they have poverty, like Norway. Norway is writing what they are doing with the first SDG. It's just, they just talk about some small projects in some poor countries far away. They don't talk about eradicating poverty in Norway, although we also have poverty here. So we can use the SDGs and the reporting that comes with the SDGs to help forward a common language on how to eradicate poverty all over the world as part of the SDGs that are supposed to be fulfilled in 2030. And Hilde knows much more about this, and Hilde works on this all the time with the Mission Impossible approach. So this is, yeah, so we have to work on it, but we shouldn't do the calculations ourselves. We have to push forward to make the politicians and the scientists, the researchers do this work, but we need to help forward and make it visible in the media so the work is strengthened in all the different countries we're part of ourselves.
Thank you, Ingun. Hilde, would you like to contribute about this? I saw your message at the chat box.
Yeah. Yes, let Jessie go first. I'll raise my hand and go after her.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Jessie, yes, please. Where is Jessie? Okay, here. Okay, where is yours, Jessie?
Thanks, and thanks for letting me go, Hilda. I just wanted to ask, like with the Sustainable Development Goals, I know that the UN has a lot of resources and also ways for different groups to be able to speak directly to the SDGs and how they can be implemented or how we can achieve those SDGs through those working groups. So I was wondering if BN has looked into that avenue at all. And then also, like, an idea popped into my head about a proposal for us framing cases for basic income that fits all 17 of the Sustainable Development Goals. So like eradicating poverty in the case for basic income for that, or the environment, or the myriad of other issues we've even just talked about in this meeting. So those are two big questions I have, I guess.
Thank you, Jesse. Hilde? Okay.
Yeah, I'll put my video on. Yeah, well, basic income, I mean, if you look at the experiments of the cash transfer programs and things like that, we have evidence already that it contributes to 11 of the Sustainable Development Goals, but of course, it will not contribute to clean water in the Netherlands, but it will contribute to clean water in India and in Africa. The only goals that we cannot argue are the planetary integrity goals. We can only reason because basic income has not been implemented long enough to actually show the effects. But we can reason that it will contribute to almost all of the Sustainable Development Goals. And then to Jesse's question, I looked into that to see if we could apply for that as a Mission Possible 2030 organization. We cannot because we don't exist long enough, but BIEN could, but that has to go through the EC and probably the GA first, I think. But that could be a proposal to hand in at the next General Assembly, and so we can vote on it, because as I understood from you when we had a discussion in India, the United Nations could actually pay for basic income consultancy, things like that. So it would also make BIEN a more, well, a better organization finance-wise.
Thank you, Hilde.
So that has to go through the EC and the GA, I think.
Thank you. I would like to add something about the poverty line measurements, especially within a country. In fact, from zone to zone, it is changing a lot. And it's in fact also has an interesting touch on the within country immigration. I mean, moving the people who are moving from villages to the cities, I mean, they will be affected by this also if there's only one unique figure for the whole country. So Gerder, I guess this is all about number 23, and you would like to have a working group for the poverty line measurements. And I think Paul maybe would like to join. Gerder, are you there? Would you like to say last words about this issue?
No, it's fine. It's fine. It's very interesting because we have to do this because there has to be some base for what basic income is for. Because we always talk about eradication of poverty. It has to be a reality then. So nothing is easy. So let's do it together. Okay,
thank you. Dear friends, I hope you are not bored, but we have one last one. It is just an information. In fact, many of you know this. This is number 24, contribution number 24 from our team. In March, there was supposed to, I mean, in fact, in 2019, there was a letter from Pope to future promising economists, inviting them to a meeting in Vatican. And that time we tried to find the people who are going to speak there, I mean, during that meeting, and who are going to contribute during the panel discussions. And we had written letters to them, to the panelists, consultants of the Congress and the keynote speakers. And unfortunately, it was postponed to November. But the idea is we should follow such meetings and organizations at different corners of the world and try to influence the presentations, discussions, and the results as much as we can from the UBI advocacy point of view. So this was our proposal. It is number 24. So let me repeat once again. We should follow such meetings and organizations and try to influence the presentations, discussions, and the results as much as we can from the UBI advocacy point of view. All the details are in the Word document you have in your emails. You can have a look. By the way, regarding SDGs, you know, Sustainable Development Goals, and there's also a network, Sustainable Development Solutions Network, and I think the chair or the founder of it is Jeffrey Sachs, I guess, professor from Columbia University, New York. And we had the chance to meet with him while he was in Turkey. And he's for basic income. And I mean, they have a huge network. I mean, we should try to utilize the Sustainable Development Solutions Network to STSN. And Jeffrey from Columbia University, these are the key things. Dear friends, this is the all I received and I put into a file. And one thing I would like to say before going to other issues, we will have another one next Tuesday. And hopefully we will have some progress with the working groups, and we will have some progress with the, for example, the letter to the spiritual leaders, or I mean, some of the working groups will have some progress, I hope. Now we are finished with our agenda. I mean, with our agenda means with the existing proposals. Who would like to? I mean, we would like to hear as much as friends from different corners. Eva Maria, would you like to say something?
Yes, I am here. Thank you.
Okay.
I support very much Gerdur in all her subject, what she said. I think is very important that we define the UBI, what is UBI, and we don't use different kind of words. And the meaning is very important. And also to fix what is the amount of the UBI in the different countries. I think, yes, we have to work on this. Right now, I want to say only this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you. Lena, can we hear from you? Lena, I guess, oh, okay. Okay.
Are you able to hear from me? Yes, sorry, yes. Unfortunately, it's a very little discussion. Have a lockdown here. So, and we still have a social security net. Here is mostly talk about small businesses, how they survive. So they're getting a lot of money, which they absolutely deserve, because a lot of small businesses are in bad situation at the moment. And the big banks have been supported with money, not normal people, if you like to call it that. And it's very sad that we don't talk about it here. At the same time, it's very good that we don't have this great lockdown and people are not as scared here. I think as more and more happening everywhere else, people are starting to wake up here. So I'm doing my bit to promote a UBI in Sweden. That's it. I think my internet is very slow.
Yes, we have, but we heard you. Thank you, Lena. Thank you very much.
Good.
Shobhana, would you like to say a few words? And you said that you are interested in joining one of the working groups. Shobhana?
Yeah. I'll be happy to join because I'm an economist representing the developing country, and I'm from India. Because the voice of the poor countries also should be heard, and we have different problems unlike the structures that developed countries have. Because I was working with Peter while he was preparing that paper for India. We were just working together to prepare the paper, and the structures that he was suggesting had a lot of loopholes, because the situation prevailing here is totally different. So it is better if you incorporate members in the working committee from the members from developing countries also. Again, especially I'm interested in joining the representation to United Nations or in any other group. Thank you.
Thank you, Shavana. Eric, okay, I'm unmuting you. Okay, Eric, word is yours. We can hear you, Eric.
Thank you. Yes, thank you very much. Can you hear me? Yes. Nice to see you again. So I'm very happy to be here. It was a long session, though, but we went through, so very good. I have just few points, one or two points. I don't want to speak about Hungary now because it's not so interesting. I want to speak about the book I recommend to everybody. This is the book. The name is Thinking Like a Mountain. Thinking Like a Mountain, yeah, and it's written by John Seed, who is a deep economist from Australia, but he has some Hungarian backgrounds, and he was already several times in Hungary to teach us. So I'm somehow a pupil from John Seed, but there is also Arne Næss. The Norwegian people know them, of course, Deep Ecology, Arne Næss. There is a book where you find a very interesting ideas about what is deep ecology. I mean, we have here not only, we are talking about sustainability, but economical or social, but the crisis we now have, in fact, is an ecological crisis, mainly. Biological, ecological crisis, and it's very severe. So I think we must look at first and what can we do to understand why this happens. Of course, it's a very we have to a holistical point of view to everything. I mean, we were talking about the sustainable goals, the 17 sustainable goals. We know all of them, but we also know they are missing a lot of points there. For instance, there is no mention about noise pollution. Just under 8 or 9 about urbanization, it's mentioned noise pollution. But it's not a one point in the sustainable goals. Noise pollution is not in there. Or what we call a feigned szennyeződés in Hungarian means the pollution of light. You know, everything is connected with everything. We all know that. Ernst Haeckel. Now, what I think is we have to also to concentrate on this, this ecological sustainability. Not only talking about economics and social sustainability, but also talking about what can we do now for the ecological sustainability. Well, mentioned, that is all what I wanted to say. I'm very glad to be here, and I hope to see you in next year, maybe in Australia. And I wish you all the best health and good luck for everybody. So I hope we will survive this crisis. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Dear Valeria is here. Welcome, Valeria, and word is yours.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm sorry I'm so late. I'm late because I had 2 hours interview with the big newspaper, weekly newspaper, with the journalist who did already 2 interviews with me prior, like in the last 10 years. So he's very well educated and very interested in. Why he invited me to speak with him? Because I sent last Friday to newspapers the proposal of new social contract. Like you know that President of the European Union already spoken about it, that we need the new social contract. So I did a proposal, sent it to newspaper, but more important is that I sent this proposal also to the Counselor of Prime Minister I've spoken about that already, that I'm incognito, the counselor of the counselor, and so on. And he wrote his proposal. He's economist at the economical faculty, and proposal is based on a universal basic income idea. Everything is about basic income. This is a good part. We don't know what will come out of it. The next more important news is that yesterday mega corona law, the new corona law started to be effective, in which there is basic income for self-employed people. I've spoken about it as well. Well, everything is good, but the wrong thing is it's conditional. And I explained to all of them that's really wrong, like the basic principle you're putting in something with the name of universal unconditional basic income. But what I did today to this journalist, you know, I decided to change their framing. He came to me and he started with this story, you know. Switzerland referendum was disaster. Finland experiment was disaster. Our European initiative is disaster. You are a failure. And I said, I'm sorry, wrong. You are framing. All journalists are framing the story. We learn from everything what we did. We are incredible, successful. And I've sent the message to these journalists, well, you see, this wrong basic income is our success. We are happy. I'm sorry, if we would succeed with child basic income, like we proposed 2 months ago, we would be happy. Okay, we will say it's only for child or children. I mean, it's not for everyone, but it's a start. And now we are saying, thank you. Thank you, right government, you did it. You started, you name it as a basic income. It's not universal, it's conditional, but we will help you to make it better. And yes, we are already doing it. We are giving them proposal how to make it better. We are saying, if you are using our concept, well, please learn how it should be done. But thank you that you started. I'm sorry, that was it was a really interesting time. I'm sorry, I'm so exaggerate. Thank you.
Thank you, Valeria, for the news. Interesting things are happening all around the world. Hilde? Yes.
Yes, thank you, Ali. Yeah, I just wanted to say something about the link between basic income and the Sustainable Development Goals and the planetary integrity that is really lacking. Well, not enough discussed in the basic income discussion. I'm just going to share a screen. I mean, if you look at the Sustainable Development Goals and the donut economics of Kate Raworth, which is also very popular, then you can see that the basic income is truly providing you a social foundation. And we also have the problem of the ecological ceiling. Now, we are also already talking about a carbon tax and things like that to fund the basic income. And if you look at the donuts of Kate Raworth and you look at the inner circle, then you see most of these aspects are also in the Sustainable Development Goals circle. So it really resonates together. What I recently found out is, and that's probably because of the lockdown that it's made me aware of it. Oh, sorry, I'll just share it again. Is that none of the models have freedom of movement in it. Freedom of movement. And so, yes, there are a lot of details that are missing, but I think the freedom of movement is something which is also very important with the basic income, because if you give people food stamps, then they are forced to stay in a certain location, and if you give them money, they are free to move to somewhere else. I don't know if it's a coincidence that it's not in these models, but it's just it made me aware of it, since we're all forced into our homes at the moment. That's all I wanted to share.
Thank you, Hilda. By the way, Professor Kate from UK was one of the speakers, hopefully will be the speakers during the panel discussions during the Francesco meetings in November. So Zita, dear Zita, word is yours.
Yeah. No, the most important thing which we find around here, in Eastern Europe, is that the basic needs are not essentially met, because so many people are losing their jobs in tourism and entertainment, as well as, not just to mention all the restaurants and everything, and little businesses are going to go absolutely bust. And what the help is, again, from banking only, very, very basic. Nothing, sort of as an immediate help. We need immediate, real emergency help now for poverty. Sorry, but this is very, very important now, and we should all stick together. Thank you, Valeria. Bye.
Thank you, Zita. Thank you. Any other friend who would like to contribute? Willem, yeah, I'm not sure. Okay, Willem, we will try once again. Okay, in fact, your microphone is it's not muted. Willem, we should be hearing you. Would you please try to talk? I guess something is wrong with your laptop. That's why we cannot hear you. Because your microphone is active and it's open. Yeah, would you please try once again? Willem, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I saw Eric's hand. Eric, would you like to say?
Say something, but Willem, go first.
No, Willem has a problem with his microphone.
Okay, I want to add one little thing more still. I was mentioned this book from John Seed, a deep ecologist, my teacher. He was my teacher, and he mentioned a very important point. He said, activists, no matter what kind of activity they are doing, social or basic income or whatever, green movement or so on, they have little time to meditate. So that it means we activists for basic income, we have little time to meditate, but we should, because if we want to find the right strategies, we have to also to hear our inner voice and to better find the strategies, which are the appropriate strategies to go on. Because if we are not meditating, we are maybe going on the wrong track. So that's why I'm saying, he said, deep ecology is something like meditation, and we all have to meditate to understand what is happening now. We have to really go into the deep. And that is why John Seed is very important from my point of view. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Is there any other friend who would like to contribute, or we are coming to the end? Maybe we can, nobody? Maybe Luke, would you like to add something? No? Marta? I cannot see. Okay, Gerda. Gerda, please.
Yeah, thank you. What I think what we have not mentioned, and that is this collective money, the money that goes to the rich or to the people who are owning these huge corporations, which are all based on our financing, because all companies in the world, every single company is based on tax money, our education, the basic education. Without basic education, there would be no single company. What is happening now is that I read this book, Winners Takes All, talking about philanthropy kidnapping democracy, and that is happening in front of us. That we are, and without UBI, the kidnapping is easy, because with the UBI for everybody, then we have power over our own lives, and we can say no to a job. And for example, there should be a roof to a job also. There should be a roof to how big a company can be to be in private ownership. And after a certain roof is broken, it should be go into the public's domain as shareholders in that company. Because what is happening now, that it is obviously you know, that capitalism or this philanthropy system is demolishing democracy. We can see it in front of us. That's it. Yes. Yeah. Hey, Ali, I don't hear you.
Ali, we don't hear you. Ali,
I'm sorry. Now it's okay. I would like to add a few things about this. I mean, the point mentioned by Gerda. In Turkey, we have some difficulties. For example, the democracy practice is not functioning well because many people do not have financial independency. So there are, instead of constitutional models, there are some gesture models. And under these gesture models, people are receiving some money, some kind of, and they are surviving, or they are living with this money. But I mean, it's not like a constitutional right, and it's a gesture. Therefore, they have to, there's a kind of bargaining, you know? Okay, I will somehow introduce you some financial resource for you to survive, but in the meantime, you have to vote for me. So gesture models or philanthropy issues are something I'm totally against. It should be a right, it should be a constitutional right, so that people can make independent decisions, so that people can vote according to their thoughts. Anybody else? Annie, would you like to speak? I guess your mic is open. Annie Miller, dear Annie?
No, nothing to say.
Ah, okay.
To Gerda about the poverty line. This is an enormous subject, and one of the things you have to start with is to look at basic needs, which may be for subsistence, for protection, for affection, and so on. And then you have to differentiate those from the satisfiers of needs, which can vary across cultures and across times. But there are different methods for trying to work out what the poverty line would be. There's the method you suggested, there are econometric ones, and there are just ones putting forward an idea like the EU poverty benchmark. It's an enormous subject. I wish you well of it. It's very interesting and it's very frustrating, but good luck with it. Thank you.
Thank you, Annie. No more contributions? Maybe I cannot see you all, but so then we better finish our labor today. I hope to see you next week. Maybe it's very often, but these days are very hot. I mean, the UBI issue is a very hot issue these days, so I'm learning a lot, to tell the truth. Now I am unmuting you all. Hope to see you next Tuesday.
Thank you
See
for
you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You do an awesome job.
Bye. See you next
No,
Bye.
Thank
I'm
you.
trying.
Thank you very
Just
much.
trying.
Let's write.